Mhm. Mhm. Give me red. Okay. All right. Oh, crap, I should... Hmm. I forgot to mute myself on Discord. There we go. Who programs some of these bots on Kick? A lot of these bots don't have like very good English. I girl, 25 years. Heart emoji. What the fuck? This is why Kick is going downhill. I'll send this here. Oh, oh. Oh yeah, no. Someone in one of my chats sent a picture of that one thing, like what gamers are allegedly supposed to look like in, I don't know, like 20 years or something. I don't know. Something fucking dumb. I don't know. I need to go to this one. And I need... I'll do it here too. Why not? Let's see. Hmm. Oh, I still have Pokemon Go open. And let me send this to that chat right there. And we are good to... We're essentially set up. All right, we're going to get started here in just a second. Oh, God. Ow. All right, let's get started. Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome to Cryptocast, your source for all things cryptid related, unknown, and paranormal. I'm your host, Parker, and welcome back to another Cryptocast Livestream. So, I hope everybody is doing all right with, everything kind of happening right now in the world. I hope you guys are doing good. I hope you guys are staying safe. But today we're going to be reading the book Haunted Missouri Ghosts and Strange Phenomena of the Show Me State by Troy Taylor. And this one's actually kind of a cool book, so I'm excited to read this. It's it's a decently long book, honestly. Um Probably about as long as Hey Lily, how are you? But yeah, no, it's um essentially a really cool book. It's a little bit longer than Ghost of St. Charles that I read by probably 4 pages. So it's really not that much longer, just a tiny bit. So essentially just the same length. All right, I send that to one more chat I meant to send it to. Um, yeah, so let's get this thing on the road. Hey, Throckmorton. Hey, how are you guys doing today? Thanks for stopping out today. I hope you guys are doing well. Um, I bumped my mouse. But yeah, we're gonna be reading that book today. There is there's a lot to cover in here. There's spirits of St. Louis, west of the city, along the Mississippi, down in the Ozarks. The Ozarks got like a lot of backlash recently, not gonna lie, and across the state. So it essentially covers everything. A little bit of everything across Missouri. So I guess without further ado, I guess let's get started. I really don't know how. Oh wait! Before I begin, I forgot to mention. Um, Cryptid Cage Match has been kind of coming out a little bit slower lately, because work started back up for me. So I do apologize for that. And that's kind of why the Cryptid ratings was kind of slower out this week too. It's just pretty much a work situation. So, um, I'll try to get those out as soon as I can. I got the cryptid ratings out already, but cryptid cage match it might take a little bit, so I'll I'll probably film both cryptid ratings and cryptid cage match Wednesday night, and then I'll have one for Friday, and then the other one for Wednesday, and it'll be okay, and it'll be good to go. So we'll see what we can do regarding that, but it should be all right. Um, and since a lot of people normally don't stay around for the very end of the video, I just want to say check the links in the description below. We got Discords, one for ghosts, one for cryptids, um, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Gmail, Tumblr. Follow me on Tumblr. I got a lot of other really cool stuff that you guys can check out. Um, so yeah, if you guys are interested in any of that stuff or just want to contact me, say hi. Um, my social media is the best way, or comment below in the comments and I will get back to you. Sometimes YouTube has been kind of doing a shit job recently of letting me know when I get notifications, so I normally don't see them all the time, but I'm trying my best. So let's get started with Haunted Missouri Ghosts and Strange Phenomenon of the Show Me State. After visiting Missouri, okay, let me just say this is actually kind of funny. It's written by a guy who lives in Illinois, which is one state up from Missouri. He actually doesn't live in Missouri, so I'm kind of curious. After visiting Missouri, you can almost understand why the dead are so reluctant to leave. It is a place of great diversity and amazing beauty, stretching from the Mississippi River to the forests and rolling hills of the Ozarks, with caves, rivers, and rugged woodland in between. The state is home to scores of ghostly tales, from documented hauntings to folk tales that have been passed along from one generation to the next. Missouri is also home to one of America's most haunted houses at the end of the state and one of the country's greatest unsolved mysteries at the other. Thanks to sites like those, along with countless stories include wandering spirits, women in black, ghostly graveyards, haunted caves, lingering criminals, and much more, Missouri has always held a great appeal to those with an interest in the macabre. It has also been a place where history left its mark. There is a marked contrast between the cities of Missouri and the rural lands of the state, dating all the way back to the Civil War era. When residents of St. Louis chose to remain loyal to the Union and the rest of the state sided with the Confederacy, as most readers know, a good ghost story cannot exist without great history behind it. Those events of yesterday, it seems clear, are what create the hauntings of today. So to be fair, Missouri really didn't want to be a part of the Union. They actually, I mean, no, they wanted to be a part of the Union, but the governor of Missouri is just like, nah, fam, we're going Confederate. So that's how Missouri became Confederate, rather than Union. Everyone else wanted Union, but the governor used his power and was like, nah, nah. But a few volumes of history seem to capture the darker side of Missouri's past, such as tales unknown to many readers bring to life a side of the state that not everyone is familiar with. In the pages ahead, our trip into Missouri's past will also include the ghosts, haunted houses. I almost said haunted horses, but that would be kind of cool too. Strange events, bizarre legends, and bloody accounts are often too unusual to be the stuff of your average history book. Are such stories true? No one can say, but each of them was related to me or documented as being the truth. They were all real stories told by real people who believed in the truth behind what they experienced. Oh, bless you. Ugh. Yeah, no, I apologize for that loud, really, really weird um noise that you heard from my mom when she sneezes. It is literally just fucking, it's like, it fucking like shatters the it shatters it breaks the sound barrier. It really breaks the sound barrier. It's fucking crazy. She sneezes louder than anyone that I know. It's crazy. Let me see. They were all real stories told by real people who believed in the truth behind what they experienced. The truth of each story is often up to the reader to decide. Just remember to paraphrase the famous line, there are stranger things on earth than are dreamt in our philosophies. Some of the strange things are lurking, perhaps just around the corner in the haunted state of Missouri. Oh yeah, no, she's okay. She's okay, Throck. It's just allergy season, and she's been sneezing a good amount. Uh, so yeah, no, it's just really, really like sound barrier breaking sneezes, which always kind of is like, oh god, no, it just comes out of nowhere, and it's nuts. It's nuts. So we're going to be starting off with the first chapter, the Lemp Mansion. In 1929, Gerald Holland wrote in an American Mercury magazine that whatever odium may be attached to beer in other parts of the Republic, its status in St. Louis is as firmly grounded as James Eads' span across the Mississippi. Beer made St. Louis. And he was right. Beer was the lifeblood of all St. Louis for decades, especially after the arrival of 1,000 German settlers in the 1830s. They wanted beer and were determined to have it, creating brewing empires whose memories still linger today. So, before we go any farther, if you guys drink, be sure to drink responsibly. Don't drink and drive. Not good. The Lemp family came to the prominence in the middle 1800s as one of the premier brewing families of St. Louis. For years, they were the fiercest rival of Anheuser-Busch and the first makers of the lager beer in Middle America. But today they are largely forgotten and remembered more for the house they built than for the beer they once brewed. But it's still a bed and breakfast and stuff, so you can still get your drinks. You can still get all that good stuff still. That house the house stands now as a fitting memorial to their decadence. Wealth. Uh, I Something popped up on my screen and I lost my place. Hold on. Wealth and tragedy. Perhaps because of this, tragedy, there is a sadness that hangs over the place and an eerie feeling that has remained from its old days of despair and abandonment. It has since been restored into a restaurant and inn, but the sorrow seems to remain. By day, the mansion is a bustling restaurant filled with people and activity. Not right now, probably not. um, St. Louis City is still pretty. It's still on lockdown, so no, not right now. And activity, but at night, everyone is gone, and the doors have been locked tight. Something still walks the halls of Lemp Mansion. Dun dun dun. The story of the Lemp brewing empire began in 1836 when John Adam Lemp came to America from Germany. He lived for a time in Cincinnati and then moved west to St. Louis in 1838. He opened a small mercantile store at what is now Delmar and 6th Streets, where in addition to common household items, he sold vinegar and beer that he made himself. Both items were soon in great demand, and he opened a small plant and offered beer from a pub that was attached to the factory. During this time, Adam introduced St. Louis to one of the first lager beers in America. The new beer was a great change from the English style ale that had been previously popular. And the lighter beer soon became a regional favorite. Business prospered by 1845. The popularity of the beer was enough to allow Adam to discontinue vinegar production and concentrate solely on beer. The company expanded rapidly thanks to the demand for beer, needing a larger operation plus a cool location to Lager's store for a long time. The beer, Adam had purchased land um, where was I? Above a limestone cave south of the city. The cave, which was located at the present day corner of Cherokee and the Manil Palace and the Mill Place, could be kept cool by chopping ice from the nearby Mississippi River and depositing it inside. Adam excavated and expanded the cave to make room for the wooden beer casks. As soon as the new company was in operation, the Lemp Western Brewing Company grew throughout the 1840s and within a few years became one of the largest breweries in the city. Adam Lemp went from a poor immigrant to one of the most respected men in St. Louis. He died in August in 1862 and left his thriving business in the hands of his son, William. Under William's leadership, the brewery began to grow in a way that Adam could have never conceived of. William Lemp had been born in Germany in 1836, just before his parents came to America. He spent his childhood in Germany and was brought to St. Louis by his father at age 12. After graduating from St. Louis University, I didn't realize it was that old, um, he joined his father at Western Brewery. At the outbreak of the Civil War, he joined the military and served with the St. Louis Home Guard, which was pro Union. He was mustered out after taking part in the defense of the first St. Louis Arsenal. Soon after, he married Julia Fikert. The couple would have 9 children together. Wow. After his father's death, William began to expand the brewery. He purchased a 5 block acre around the storage house on Cherokee, which was located above the Lagering Caves, and began the construction of a new brewery complex. By the 1870s, the Lemp factory was believed to be the largest in the entire city. A bottling plant was added in 1877, and artificial refrigeration with progress and new inventions and constantly updated the operation. By the middle by the middle 1890s, the Lemp Brewery was becoming known all over America. Its most popular fine Falstaff became a favorite across the country, something that had never been accomplished by a regional brewery before. Lemp was the first brewery to establish a coast-to-coast distribution of its beer, shipping it out in refrigerated railroad cars. After expanding across America, Lemp also spread to overseas markets, and by the late 1890s, the beer could be found in Canada, Mexico, Britain, Germany, Central and South America, the West Indies, the Hawaiian Islands, Australia, Japan, and beyond. The brewery ranked as the 8th largest in the country and had grown to the point that it employed more than 700 men. Wow. As many as 100 horses were needed to pull the delivery wagons in St. Louis alone. Construction of new buildings and renovations of older ones continued on a daily basis. In addition to William Lemp's financial success, he was also a well liked and popular among the citizens of St. Louis. He was on the boards of several organizations, including a planning committee for the 1904 World's Fair. His family was happy, and his sons were very involved in the business. In November of 1892, when the Western Brewery Company was incorporated as the William J. Lemp Brewing Co., William Jr. was named as vice president, and his brother Louis was made superintendent. William Jr., or Billy as he was commonly known, was born in St. Louis on August 13th, 1867. He attended Washington University and the United States Brewers Academy in New York. He was well known in St. Louis for his flamboyant lifestyle. In 1899, he married Lillian Handelin, the daughter of a wealthy St. Louis manufacturer. Lewis was born on January 11th, 1870. He learned the brewer's trade from some of the best master brewers in Germany. He assisted his brother in the management of the company and became involved with several political and civic organizations in St. Louis. As a young man, he had a passion for sports, which would later turn toward horses. Becoming a successful breeder in 1906, he sold his interest in the brewery and moved to New York to work with horses permanently. He and his wife Agnes had one daughter, Louise. Louis died in New York in October of 1931. William's other sons were Frederick, Charles, and Edwin. He also had three daughters, Anna, Elsa, and Hilda. In 1897, Hilda married the son of one of William's best friends, Milwaukee brewer Frederick Pabst. William and Julia also had one other child prematurely born infant. It was a prematurely born infant that died. During the time of the Lemp Brewery's greatest success, William Lemp purchased a home for his family a short distance away from the brewery complex. The house was built by Jacob Fikert, Julia Lemp's father, in 1868. He was likely financed by William. In 1876, Lemp purchased it outright for the use as a residence and an auxiliary brewery office. Although it was already an impressive house, Lemp immediately began renovating and expanding the mansion and turning it into a show place of the period. The mansion boasted elegant artwork, handcrafted wooden decor, ornately painted ceilings, large beautiful bathrooms, and even an elevator that replaced the main staircase in 1904. It was a unique and wondrous place and one fitting of the first family of St. Louis brewing. Ironically, it was in the midst of all this happiness and success that the Lemp family's troubles began. I The first death in the family was that of Frederick Lemp, William Sr.'s favorite son, and the heir apparent to the Lemp empire. He had been groomed for years to take over the family business and was known as the most ambitious and hardworking of the Lemp children. Frederick had been born on November 20th, 1873, and attended both Washington University, where he received a degree in mechanical engineering, and the United States Brewers Academy. In 1898, Frederick married Irene Verdon, and the couple was reportedly very happy. Frederick was well known in St. Louis and was regarded as a friendly and popular fellow. In spite of this, he also spent countless hours at the brewery, working hard to improve the company's future. Some will later say that he worked himself to death. In 1901, Frederick's health began to fail and he temporarily moved to Pasadena, California, for health reasons. By December, he was much better. William, who had visited his son, returned to St. Louis with hopes that Frederick would be returned to him soon. Unfortunately, that never happened. On December 12th, Frederick suffered a sudden relapse and died at the age of 28. Wow. His death was due to heart failure brought about by complications from other diseases. Frederick's death was devastating to his parents, especially to his father. Brewery secretary Henry Valcamp later wrote that when the news came of the young man's death, William Lemp broke down utterly and cried like a child. He took it so seriously that we feared it would completely shatter his health and looked for the worst to happen. Lemp's friends and co-workers said that he was never the same again after Frederick's death. It was obvious to all of them that he was not coping well and he began to slowly withdraw from the world. He was soon rarely seen in public. Before his son's death, Lemp had taken pleasure in paying the men each week. He would also join the workers in any department and work alongside them in their daily activities or go personally among them and discuss any problems or questions they had. After Frederick died, though, these practices ceased almost completely. William slowly recovered from his terrible loss, but then on January 1st, 1904, he received the crushing news that his closest friend, Frederick Pabst, had died. William fell apart after this, and on February 13th, 1904, his suffering had become unbearable. When William awoke that morning, he ate breakfast and mentioned to one of the servants that he was not feeling well. He finished eating, excused himself, and went back upstairs to his bedroom. Around 9:30, he took a 38 caliber Smith & Wesson revolver and shot himself in the head with it. There was no one else in the house at the time of the shooting except for the servants. A servant girl, upon hearing the sound of the gunshot, ran to the door, but she found it locked. She immediately ran to the brewery office about a half block away and summoned Billy and Edwin. They hurried back to the house and broke down the bedroom door. Inside, they found their father lying on the bed in a pool of blood. The revolver was still gripped in his right hand, and there was a gaping bloody wound in his right temple. After that point, Lemp was still breathing but unconscious. Wow, so he didn't kill himself. Like he didn't after he shot himself. He didn't die immediately. He was still alive, but he was just really he was weak and he was unconscious. And oh wow. They called the family physician, Dr. Henry J. Harnish, by telephone, and he came at once. He and three other doctors examined William, but there was nothing they could do. William died just as his wife returned home from a shopping trip downtown. No suicide note was ever found. The Lemp Brewery was very involved in the 1904 World's Fair as Billy took his father's place on the various boards that he was supposed to sit for the fair. Later that year, he became the new president of the company. Billy was a volatile individual and visual, but had a good head for business. Though he spent a fortune on his lavish lifestyle, the company was in its heyday and was making more than enough money to cover his expenses. In 1899, Billy had married Lillian Handlin, the daughter of a wealthy manufacturer, who had been nicknamed the Lavender Lady because of her fondness for wearing that color. They had a stormy marriage and in 1906 became embroiled in a messy, scandalous divorce trial that had the whole city talking. When it was over, Lillian left St. Louis and Billy went into seclusion at his estate. In 1915, he married Ellie Lindbergh, the widow of a St. Louis brewer Rudolph Lindbergh, and daughter of Caspar Kohler, president of the Columbia Brewery. In 1911, the last improvements were made to the Lemp Brewery giant grain elevators, erected on the south side of where was I? Erected on the south side of the complex. With the shadow of Prohibition beginning to fall across the land, Lemp, like many other breweries, began producing a near beer malt beverage called Cerva. While Cerva did sell moderately well at first, um, revenues were nowhere near enough to cover the operating expenses used to make it. Eventually, it would be abandoned. It was also in 1911 that the Lemp Mansion was converted into the new offices of the brewing company, with private offices and rooms for the clerks. Business was slow for all German American brewers, World War One. Oh wait, through World War One, my bad. But the Lemp Brewery was fared worse than some of the others. And I accidentally lost my page. There we go. We're back. Billy had allowed the company's equipment to deteriorate and had failed to keep abreast of industry innovations, and much of the brewing facilities had become outmoded. To make matters worse, Prohibition was coming and would have a devastating effect on all American brewers. So if you guys don't know what Prohibition was, if I don't know if they had it all over the world, but in America during this time, alcohol was illegal for a for a period of time in U.S. history. You couldn't drink alcohol, so they had speakeasies and stuff where you could go like kind of like into secret taverns and drink alcohol. Even some politicians did it, and even cops did too because they wanted their alcohol. um, Brewers were stunned by the passing of the amendment and the Volstead Act, which made prohibition enforceable by the law. The more resourceful companies had attempted to market their near beers, but as alcohol actually became illegal, sales for these inferior brews began to dwindle and then disappear. This seemed to signal the death of the company. As the individual family members were quite wealthy aside from the profits from the company, there was little incentive to keep the brewery afloat. Billy gave up on the idea that Congress would suddenly repeal the prohibition, which they later did. And he closed the Lemp plant down without notice. The workers learned of the closing when they came to work one day and found the doors shut and the gates locked. Will simply decided to liquidate the assets of the plant and auction off the buildings. He sold the famous Lemp Falstaff logo to brewer Joseph Griesdick for the sum of $25,000, which was a fair amount of money back then. With the idea of that eventually the government would see prohibition for the folly that it was, and that beer would be back. Lemp was no longer shared the other man's enthusiasm, though, and in 1922 he saw the brewery sold off to the International Shoe Company for $588,000, a small fraction of the estimated worth of $7 million in the years before Prohibition. It was in the end of the era. It was the end of an era for the Lemp family. Wow, so it was worth $7 million at the beginning of Prohibition, but he only could sell it for 588,000 during Prohibition. Prohibition was only a part of what dismal turned to be a dismal decade for the Lemp family. It began with the death of Elsa Lemp, the youngest child in the family, born in 1883. After the death of her mother in 1906, she inherited a portion of the Lemp estate and became the wealthiest unmarried woman in the city in 1910. She became even richer when she married Thomas Wright, the president of Moore Jones Brass and Metal Company. They moved into a home in Hortense Place in St. Louis's central West End. Their marriage was reportedly an unhappy, stormy one. They separated in December of 1918. In February of 1919, Elsa filed for okay, I thought I hit something. For divorce. Unlike her brother's sensational divorce, Elsa's legal battle was kept quiet and the details of the divorce were not revealed. It was granted in less than an hour and the reasons were cited as general indignities. By March 8th of 1920, however, Elsa and Wright had reconciled and the two were remarried in New York City. They returned home to St. Louis and found their house filled with flowers and cards from their friends and well-wishers, but was not at all happy with the newly remarried couple. Elsa slept little that night, claiming that her stomach was bothering her. When her husband awoke the next morning, Elsa told him she was feeling better but wanted to remain in bed. Wright agreed that this was the best thing for her, and he went into the bathroom and turned on the water in the tub. He later stated that he heard a loud noise, and when when he went to see what it was, he found his wife in bed. A pistol lay next to her, and she had been shot. No suicide note was ever found, and Wright claimed he had no idea she owned a gun. The only other persons present in the morning were the members of the household staff. Um, None of them had heard the shot, nor did they see any sign that Elsa intended to end her life. The staff quickly summoned Dr. M.B. Clopton and Samuel Fordyce, family friend. Strangely, the police were not notified of Elsa's death for more than 2 hours, and even then, the news came indirectly through Samuel Fordyce. Wright became highly agitated under under the scrutiny of the police investigation that followed, and his only excuse for not contacting authorities was that he was bewildered and did not know what to do. So nobody really knows what happened to her. If he did it or she did it. Or someone else did it. We don't know. The mysterious circumstances surrounding Elsa's death led many to believe that there is more to the story than has been told to this day. Some people believe that she may have been murdered. How that mystery, however, will likely never be solved. Billy was the next family member to die, and his death was also mysterious. He committed suicide, but no clear cause was ever cited. On the morning of December 19th, 1922, Lemp secretary Henry Valcamp arrived in the Lemp Brewery office to find Billy already at his desk. The two of them were joined shortly by Olivia Beckirk, a stenographer for the brewery, and Billy's personal secretary. Billy had not been feeling well lately, and Valcamp commented that she looked better. That he looked better. You may think so, Billy replied, but I'm feeling worse. A short time later, while she was downstairs, Olive Becker heard a loud noise. When she came upstairs, she found Billy lying on the floor of his office. He had shot himself in the heart with a .38 caliber revolver. You guys kind of see a common theme here. When discovered, Lemp was still breathing, but he had expired by the time the doctor arrived. Captain William Doyle led the police investigation on the scene. Searched Lemp's pockets and desk for suicide note, but as with his father and his sister before him, Billy left no indications as to why he believed suicide was the answer to his problems. Oddly, Lemp seemed to have no intention of suicide, even a short time before. Apparently, the final turn in his downward spiral had come on quite suddenly. After the sale of the brewery, he had discussed selling off the rest of the assets, like land parcels and saloon locations, and planned to then just take it easy. Not long after that, not long after that announcement, he had even put his county estate up for sale, stating that he planned to travel to Europe for a while. Even a week before his death, he had dined with his friend August A. Bush, who said that Lemp seemed cheerful at the time and that he gave no indication that he was worrying about business or anything else. He was a fine fellow, Bush added, and it's hard to believe that he'd taken his own life. With Billy gone, and his surviving brothers involved in their own endeavors, it seemed that the days of the Lemp Empire had come to an end at last. The two brothers, still in St. Louis, had left the family enterprise long before it closed down. Charles worked in banking and finance, and Edwin entered a life of seclusion in his estate in Kirkwood in 1911. The great fortune they had amassed was more than enough to keep the surviving members of the family comfortable throughout the Great Depression and beyond. But the days of the Lemp tragedy were not over. Disaster continued for the Lemp family. William Lemp III seemed to have inherited his father's troubles with women and went through a nasty divorce in 1936. 3 years later, he attempted to revive the Lemp name and entered into an okay, yeah, we'll get done with this part. Agreement with Central Breweries of East St. Louis, Illinois, licensing them to use the Lemp name in connection with the beer. In return, the brewery would pay him royalties on all beer sold with the name of Lemp. In October of 1939, Central changed its name to the William J. Lemp Brewing Company and launched a massive advertising campaign to announce the rebirth of the famous Lemp name. Lemp beer began to be officially brewed again on November 1st. It and initial sales exceeded all expectations. The new endeavor seemed destined for success, but it barely lasted a year. By September of 1940, the William Lemp Brewing Company was in serious trouble. They had all accumulated a mountain of liabilities and owed back taxes, payrolls, accounts, and interest on second mortgage bonds. Trading on the company's common stock was suspended on December 19th. Because the company was deemed insolvent and wiped out. Earlier the following year, it was officially bankrupt. Might be a little watching right now. Hold on. William never lived. Let me see. Okay. The once strong name of Lemp was now unable to dominate the market as it once had. M's Brewing Co. took over the brewery in December, and um, they immediately terminated the contract with William Lemp III starting on March 1st, 1945. They discontinued the name Lemp in connection with beer. The plan to bring the Lemp label back to life had failed miserably, and the Lemp empire had now breathed its last. William never lived to see it all fall apart. He suffered a massive brain hemorrhage in December of 1943 and died where he was standing. By the late 1920s, only Charles and Edwin Lemp remained from the immediate family. Throughout his life, Charles was never much involved with the Lemp Brewery, although he was named its treasurer around 1900 and was second vice president in 1911. His interests had been elsewhere. When the family home was renovated into offices, he made his residence at the Racket Club in St. Louis. He ended his connections with the family business that same year and took the first of what would be many positions in the banking and financial industries. In 1917, he became vice president of the German Savings Institution and then joined Liberty Central Trust in 1921. He stayed there for several years and eventually got into the automobile casualty business as president of the Indemnity Company of America. In 1929, Charles moved back to the Lemp Mansion, and the house became a private residence once more. He continued to look after the real estate buildings and investments, among which was the East St. Louis Columbia and Waterloo Electric Railroad line, which went out of business in 1932. Lemp also enjoyed traveling, which he did extensively until World War II interfered. He was also involved in politics and was a powerful member of the Democratic Party in St. Louis. Despite his very visible business and political life, Charles remained a mysterious figure who became even odder and more reclusive with age. He remained a bachelor his entire life and lived alone in his old rambling house with only his two servants, Albert and Lena Binter, for company. By the age of 77, he was quite ill. Legend has it that he was deathly afraid of germs and wore gloves to avoid any contact with bacteria. He was severely arthritic and almost in constant pain. When he could stand it no more, he ended his life. On May 10th, 1949, Alfred Bittner went to the kitchen and prepared breakfast for Charles as he normally did. He then placed the breakfast tray on the desk in the office next to his bedroom. Bittner later recalled that the door of the bedroom was closed and he did not look inside. At about 8 o'clock, Bittner returned to the office to remove the tray and found it untouched. Concerned, he opened the bedroom door to see Charles was awake and discovered that he was dead from a bullet wound to his head. Bittner hurried to inform his wife of what happened, and she contacted Richard Hawes, Lemp's nephew, who summoned the police to the mansion. When the police arrived, they found Charles still in bed and holding a 38 caliber Army Colt revolver in his right hand. He was the only one in the family who had left a suicide note behind. He had dated the letter May 9th and had written, "In case I am found dead, blame it on no one but me," and had signed it at the bottom. The Lemp family, which had once been so large and prosperous, had now been almost utterly destroyed in the span of less than a century. Only Edwin Lemp remained. He had long avoided the outside. He had long avoided the life that had turned so tragic for the rest of his family. He was known as a quiet and reclusive man, and had walked away from the Lemp Brewery in 1913 to live a peaceful life on his secluded estate in Kirkwood. Here continued he communed with nature and became as an excellent cook, gourmet, and animal lover. He collected fine art and entertained his intimate friends. Edwin managed to escape from the family curse, but as he grew older, he did become more eccentric and developed a terrible fear of being alone. He never spoke about his family or their tragic lives, but they must have preyed on him. All the same, his fears caused him to simply entertain more and to keep a compassion with him at his estate almost all the time. Edwin passed away quietly of natural causes at age 90 in 1970. After the death of Charles Lemp, the family mansion was sold and turned into a boarding house. After that, it fell on hard times and began to deteriorate, along with the surrounding neighborhood in later years. Stories began to emerge that residents of the boarding house often complained of ghostly knocks and phantom footsteps in the house. As these tales spread, it became increasingly hard to find tenants to occupy rooms, and because of this, the old Lemp mansion was rarely filled. The house's decline continued in 1975 when Richard Pointer and his family purchased it. The Pointers began remodeling and renovating the place, working for many years to turn it into a combination restaurant and inn, so essentially a bed and breakfast. Uh, but they were soon to find out that they were not alone in the house. Construction workers reported that ghostly events were occurring in the house, and as they worked to remodel it. Almost all of them confessed that they believed that the place was haunted and told of feeling as though they were being watched. They spoke of hearing unexpected sounds and complained of tools that vanished and then returned to different places from where they had been left. At one point in the renovations, a painter was brought in to work on the ceilings. He stayed in the house overnight while he completed the job. One day he ran downstairs to tell one of the Pointers he had heard the sound of horses' hooves on the cobblestone outside his window. Pointer convinced the painter that he was mistaken. There were no horses and no cobblestone. So very weird. Let me just see what else is in here as well. Okay, I'm just checking to see what we have left in here as well. Okay, we're doing good. We're doing good. Outside the house. In time, the man finished the ceilings and left, but the story stayed on Pointer's mind. Later that year, he noticed that some of the grass in the yard had been turned brown. He dug it up and found beneath the top level soil was a layer of cobblestones during the Lemp's residency in the house. That portion of the yard had been a drive leading to the carriage house. So that means that leads credibility to the ghost horses. Later in the restoration, another artist was brought in to restore the painting, the painted ceiling, one of the front dining rooms. It had been covered over with paper for years. While he was lying on his back on the scaffolding, the artist felt a sensation that he believed was a spirit moving past him. It frightened him so badly that he left the house without his brushes and tools and refused to return to get them. Um, a few months after this event, an elderly man came into the restaurant and told one of the staff members that he had once been a driver for the Lemp family. He explained that the ceiling in the dining room had been papered over because William Lemp hated the design that had been painted on it. Let me see. The staff members, upon hearing the story, recalled the artist saying that he had gotten the distinct impression that the spirit he encountered had been angry. Was it perhaps because he's restoring an unwanted ceiling painting? During the restorations, the Pointer's son, Dick, lived alone in the house and became quite an expert on the ghostly manifestations. One night, he was lying in bed reading when when he heard a door slammed loudly in another part of the house. When he heard a door, no one was supposed to be there, and when he was sure that he had locked all the doors, fearing that something might have broken in, he and his dog, a Doberman pinscher named Shadow, decided to take a look around. The dog was spooked by this time, having also heard the sound, and she had her ears turned up, listening for anything else. They searched the entire house and found no one there. Every door was locked, just as Pointer had left them. He reported that the same thing happened again about a month later. Again, no sign of an intruder was found. After the restaurant opened, staff members began to report their own odd experiences. Glasses were seen to lift off the bar and fly in the air. Sounds were often heard that had no explanation, and some people even glimpsed apparitions that appeared and vanished. In addition, many customers and visitors to the house reported some pretty weird incidents. It was said that doors locked and unlocked themselves on their own. The piano to the bar played by itself. Voices and sounds came from nowhere, and the ghost of a woman was seen occasionally. Some claimed it was Lillian Hanlon, Billy's ex-wife, and the famed Lavender Lady, even though she never actually lived in the house. Perhaps the indignities that suffered at the hands of her former husband managed to draw her into the family's home after death. While the ghostly atmosphere of the place has admittedly attracted a number of curious patrons, it has also caused one of the Pointers to lose a number of valuable employees. One of them was a former waitress named Bonnie Strayhorn, who encountered an unusual customer while working one day. The restaurant had not yet opened for business when she saw a dark haired man seated at one of the tables in the rear dining room. She was surprised someone had come in so early, but she went over to ask if he would like a cup of coffee. He simply sat unmoving and did not answer. Bonnie frowned and glanced away for a moment. When she looked back moments later, the man was gone. She continued to maintain that he could not have left the room in the brief seconds when she was not looking at him. After that incident, Bonnie left the Lemp mansion and went to work at a non-haunted location. Uh, the house has attracted many ghost hunters from across the country. Many of them are lured by the publicity the house has received as a haunted location. The mansion has appeared in scores of magazines, newspaper articles, books, and television shows over the years, first gaining national attention in November of 1980 when Life magazine included it in the article entitled Terrifying Tales of Nine Haunted Houses. As the years have passed, the Lemp Mansion has continued to lure visitors who are looking for strange and ghostly happenings, and I have stayed the night here many times myself. As Paul Pointer once said, Those who come to this house are rarely disappointed, and I would have to agree. While not all of my stays at this house have been eventful ones, at least when it comes to ghosts, I have to say that the vivid sense of history that I have experienced when I am here more than makes up for the lack of anything supernatural. If you're a ghost hunter or a historian, then I encourage you to visit the mansion of the once mighty Lemp family. Their empire may have crumbled long ago, but there is much to see here among the ruins of yesteryear. So we are on page 18. Um, we I normally my streams are an hour, so we would have 10 minutes left, and that is not enough time to finish one more chapter, sadly. So I'm gonna stop reading here for today. But I don't know. I'm trying to think. We can talk about something though for like the last 9 minutes. Um, I did get a few more books as well. I will read those at some point as well. Uh, do you guys like these book readings? If you do, just be sure to let me know in the comment section. And yeah, I just love to hear from you guys. So hey, any chance I can get to interact with my fans and all the people watching at home, it's great. So I hope you guys are all doing well. So yeah, no, work started back up for me. It's been kind of stressful, honestly, with everything. Hey, Dora, how are you? Um, what part of Missouri did you used to live in? Because that's where I currently live. In Missouri. I don't know if I'll say my location personally, but yeah, no. What part of Missouri did you used to live in? Because there's a lot of things here in Missouri that are really unknown. So, oh God. I don't want a haircut, but at the same time, I'm not gonna get one for a bit. I want to see how long I can get it before everyone's like, you need to get a haircut. Oh yeah, no, I live in St. Louis as well, but and I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Um, yeah, no, St. Louis, St. Charles, all those areas, they're pretty damn haunted. So, Let Mansion, I haven't been there myself yet. I really want to. I've mostly visited Main Street, St. Charles a lot. That's pretty much one of my normal hangouts for ghost hunts. That's a cool place. I'm gonna do a ghost hunt there one time, sometime this year, maybe at night when it's not crowded and there's not a lot of people out due to the virus and everything, and just wait for things to kind of get a little bit better. But I'm gonna do another ghost hunt down there probably sometime in the fall or at night one day during this summer. We'll see what we can do. But that my first ever ghost hunt was on Main Street, St. Charles, and I did get some cool stuff. And I know I share this stuff like so much. I got a lady peeking out of a window, and my friend managed to get the apparition of a woman sitting on the bench, who is the lady in white, who sits outside the old St. Charles Church. So it was a fun time. It was a fun time. That was high school, so I haven't done like an actual investigation there since high school. So I would definitely love to do an investigation there again because I miss that place. I miss that place, and I actually went down there later, like earlier today. I got some food, and just we just and I brought it back home. So it was good to kind of get back down there and look because I haven't been down there since the beginning of all of the virus outbreak and everything, and yeah. So it was good to get back down at least. So I'm happy to get back. Uh, the thing is too, everything's opening up right now. Like everything is opening up. Well, in St. Charles at least, but in St. Louis everything's closed. So I feel like I don't know. I'm kind of worried with all the protests and everything going on. Um, due to that one tragic event that happened, I'm not going to be talking about that though, because I don't want to get people riled up or upset or anything. But I, but yeah, due to that one event with all the protests, which is the gap, which is like essentially like there's a big gathering of people, and like all the businesses opening up really soon. We don't even have the vaccine yet and everything. I'm worried there's going to be another outbreak later this year, so we'll play it here. We'll play it ear by ear. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But yeah, no, the world's kind of a fuck right now. Sometimes because it's kind of close, but I haven't seen much. Hey, Throck. Next time you're in Missouri, hit me up. I can show you some local haunts and everything, and it'll be fun. Yeah, if any of you guys come down to Missouri, just hit me up and I'll show you guys around. There's a lot of cool stuff here. A lot of haunted stuff too. I do kind of have a paranormal bucket list that I want to do. I want to go to the Limp Mansion for sure. I want to go to what was it? The Missouri State Penitentiary. That place is really haunted. Oh God, what else do I want to go to? What else do I want to go to? I went to this one spot where supposedly they had some kind of rituals, and yeah, wait, the what spot are you talking about, Dora? Are you talking about here in Missouri, where they did rituals and stuff? Alcatraz is also on my list as well. I want to go to Bobby Mackey's Music World. That place is scary, but I really, really, really want to go to Bobby Mackey's Music World for an investigation. Ah, shit. There's more. There's a lot more. I want to go to Zach Baggins Museum. I really want to go to Zach Baggins Haunted Museum in Las Vegas, Nevada. So I think it's in Vegas. I am 99% sure it is in Vegas. It's been a while since I looked at the site for it, but I'm pretty sure it's in Vegas. I mean, hey, you got Ghost and you got Hell's Kitchen, so best of both worlds. I fucking love Gordon Ramsay. I love his shows, and I've always wanted to try some of his cooking or at least one of his recipes. So yeah, that would be cool to check out. Yeah, no, there's just so many places that I want to go to. It's crazy, and Jefferson Barracks Frisbee Golf Park. Okay, yeah, no, Jefferson Barracks. For those of you guys who don't know, it's a really, really haunted cemetery here in Missouri. It's pretty much where a lot of the soldiers got buried. I believe my I believe I do have some family buried in Jefferson Barracks, but I didn't know there was a frisbee golf park near there, or there was one kind of like by the cemetery. I did not know that. I do kind of want to do some cemetery investigations at night. Um, so we'll just kind of see how the year goes and everything. For sure, I really this year for sure. Um, unless there's another outbreak, like I said, Main Street St. Charles investigation at night sometime this year, so be on the lookout for that. And oh god, what else? Maybe a cemetery, maybe some kind of cemetery. Um, I don't know. We'll figure it out. So, but all I know for sure, Main Street St. Charles, just depending on the state of the world by then. Um, we could all be alive then. We could be all dead now. I don't know. The fall is a long time away, so we'll see how it goes. We need that vaccine though. It's kind of crazy because I work at a thrift store myself, and um, I'm a germaphobe, and everyone's like, "Why did you choose that job then? If you're a germaphobe?" Didn't really bother me too much, maybe just a tiny bit. Then I just got, and then like this whole outbreak happened, and now I'm just like, fuck, I'm paranoid. Like I'm really really paranoid to be at work right now. I kind of wish we stayed closed, but I mean, I guess I guess money's a thing, so I mean, I guess it's not all that bad, but I just wish I could stay at home really during all of this. Like I like my job, but I don't want to work during this. Thrift stores are not essential. Grocery stores, hospitals, urgent cares, those are all essential. Thrift stores and antique malls and stuff are not. So I just personally, I just don't get it. I think our governor just said, "Yeah, guys, just do what you want," and a lot of places opened up. St. Louis is closed right now. All of St. Louis is closed right now, but all of St. Charles is open, and Illinois is still closed because they have it real. Because I think they have it bad still. I don't know how bad it is. I don't live in Illinois. I don't kind of keep up on Illinois, but we get people from Illinois that come over to St. Charles because they know everything's open. So it's just fucking dumb, honestly. I really wish we would just keep everything kind of closed for now, just because I don't want people getting sick. But yeah, no, I didn't know they had a frisbee golf park in Jefferson Barracks. I've never tried frisbee golf, but I heard it's really fun. So I may have to try it. Oh god, like yeah, no. If you guys saw me like itching my nose throughout this whole thing, I apologize. I don't know why. Every time I do a live stream, for some reason my nose itches. Downstairs, I thought it was the mold. Now it's upstairs, and I think there's pollen or something out there. So yeah, no, my allergies are kind of, and with allergy season, it's kind of hard. Is it allergies or is it, you know? But um, it's kind of easy to distinguish them sometimes. So it's I don't know. So yeah, for sure. Well, not for sure. It just depends. Um, the Main Street investigation sometime this year. I would like to go to a cemetery at some point and investigate. I gotta get some of my friends on board, and maybe a few other like kind of like little mini investigations at some point. Maybe I'll do one in my basement again, just to kind of like I don't know, like as another investigation. So we'll see what happens down there. There have been a lot of people who missed that stream and really kind of want to see one live. Some of my friends in real life, so I'm gonna message them, see if they want to watch it or stuff. Or it would be cool if I could, like, if I just had someone over, they did this investigation with me, and see how it goes. I've really only done my house investigations by myself. Um, and really nobody was like with me during that. I mean, obviously they were with me like ghosts and stuff, but nobody like was physically there with me. It was just me all on my own. So I kind of want to get together a little ghost hunting team and see what happens. So that would be kind of cool. And oh yeah, Dora, I since you kind of got here a little bit ago, I also have I don't know if you have Discord or not, but we have two Discords, one for cryptids and one for ghosts, and those are both in the description below. So be sure to check those out too if you want to join us. We got a couple good communities on there. Everyone there's really nice, and they love sharing their experiences. So it's good stuff. It's really nice. So if you have Discord, yeah, feel free to join. We'd definitely be happy to have you. It's way more active than Kick. Honestly, the Kick chat's kind of dead at this point, but Discord is very. I mean, yeah, Discord is very very active. So feel free to check out the Discord. And I'm just kind of rambling at this point. So uh, I was going to try to do. I was going to ask my friend if they wanted to do a live stream to. We, I have we've kind of had a tarot card live stream planned for a few weeks now, but something on their end came up, so um, I didn't want to ask them this week if they wanted to do it. So hopefully maybe next week or sometime in like the next month or something, be on the lookout for a tarot card and tarot reading stream in the future. But yeah, no, I'm just kind of rambling at this point. So thank you guys so much for coming out. If you guys like this video, be sure that like button. You can dislike it if you dislike it. I heard if you dislike this video, um, let me see, your local beer will be prohibited. If you don't want your local beer to be prohibited, the only way to ward that off is to hit that like button on this video. Also, guys, if you're new, consider. Did I say can hitter? Can hitter. What the fuck? Consider hitting that subscribe button and become a member of the Crypto Crew today. It really means a lot to me, guys. So thank you so much. And comment below if you have any suggestions for videos, streams, and other things I do in the future. Check out all my social media in the links in the description below. I got a Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Facebook, the two Discords like I mentioned earlier. Contact me at Gmail. And yeah, pretty much if you get in contact with me, I will reply to you guys. So thank you guys so much for coming out. Be safe, guys, in the world wherever you are. I know it's crazy right now, but hey, we'll get through this. We will get through this. So thank you guys so much again for coming out. You've been watching Cryptocast. I've been your host, Parker. Stay spooky, and I'll see you guys in the next